Good evening, viewer. Welcome to our Globe TV. Here's the breaking news. Yes, loading India's ambitious space program, the New York Times has said the country currently witnessing an explosive growth in space tech startups. Is it to transform the planet's connection to the final frontier and can emerge as a counterweight to China? When it launched its first rocket in 1963, India was a poor country pursuing the world's most cutting edge technology. That projectile, its nose cone wheeled to the launchpad by a bicycle, put a small payload 124 miles above the earth. India was barely pretending to keep up with the US and the Soviet Union. In today's space race, India has found much surer footing, the leading US newspaper said. The article titled "The Surprising Striver in the World Space Business" notes that India has become home to at least 140 registered space tech startups comprising a local research field that stands to transform the planet's connection to the final frontier. The startups' growth has been explosive, leaping from 5 when the pandemic started, and they see a big market to serve, the paper said. Underscoring that India's importance as a scientific power is taking center stage, the NYT report referred to Prime Minister Narendra Modi's state visit to Washington last month at the invitation of President Joe Biden, and the joint statement issued by the two sides said that two leaders set a course to reach new frontiers across all sectors of space cooperation. In the joint statement, the leaders called for enhanced commercial collaboration between the US and Indian private sector in the entire value chain of the space economy and to address export controls and facilitate technology transfer. The NYT report added that both the US and India see space as an arena in which India can emerge as a counterweight to their mutual rival China. One of India's advantage is geopolitical, the paper said, as it added that Russia and China had historically offered lower cost options for launches. But the war in Ukraine has all but ended Russia's role as a competitor, it said, as it cited the USD 30 million hit British satellite startup OneWeb took after Russia impounded 36 of its spacecraft in September. OneWeb's next constellation of satellites was sent into orbit by India's Indian Space Research Organization. Likewise, the US government would be more likely to approve any American companies sending military grade technology through India than through China, the NYT said. It added that since June 2020, when Mr. Modi announced a push for the space sector, opening it up to all kinds of private enterprise, India has launched a network of businesses, each driven by original research and homegrown talent. Last year, the space startups raked in USD 120 million in new investment at a rate that is doubling or tripling annually. The NYT report mentions Hyderabad-based Skyroot Aerospace and aerospace manufacturer Dhruvo Space. Skyroot and Dhruvo work in the relatively sexy sector of launch and satellite delivery, but together those account for only 8% of India's space business pie. A much bigger sense comes from companies that specialize in collecting data beamed by satellite, the report said, and cited the example of Bengaluru headquartered startup Pixels, co-founded by Awais Ahmed and Khitji Khandelwal, and which has a contract with a secretive agency within the Pentagon. Pixel has developed an imaging system to detect patterns on the Earth's surface that lie outside the range of ordinary color vision. describe India as a thriving center of innovation and one of the most competitive launch sites in the world. The NIT article said space tech startups are one of India's most sought after sectors for venture capital investors, and their growth has been explosive, leaping from 5 within the pandemic started. Behind the report, Glory Globe.